From just outside Alumni Plaza at KeyBank Center in Buffalo, it's the 2017 Scouting Combine. Oilers TV Sport Chek panel reconvenes for the Combine, and we bring in a special guest. It's Oilers Assistant General Manager Keith Gretzky. Keith, I know it's been a busy week for you. To start off this panel, I just want to ask, how busy has your crew been this week? Because I know there's about 104 guys that were scheduled to be here, prospects, and 80 of them from North America, 20 international. How many guys have you talked to? What's it been like for you guys so far?
Well, it's really good. We probably do close to 20 a day, so we'll be about 90 total. And it's really good to get to know the kids. You know, some kids you know well, and other kids you don't know so well, so it's a good time to get to know them.
Keith, in the past, people used to say in sport, always draft the best available player. But what we've seen with the NFL draft, once they went to, sort of a modified cap system, and now you got the NHL, which is a full cap system, and sometimes you don't draft the best player, you draft by positional need. So on that note, the Oilers have a lot of defense prospects. You maybe look more to forward at number 22 as an example.
Well, you don't want to force the hand, and you try to take the best player, of course, Bob, as you know. And, we're trying to determine what's the best player, and if it's close, maybe since we have a lot of defensemen coming up, that we'll look towards a forward, but right now we'll look at the best player.
Keith, in terms of preparation at this year's Combine, I mean, you've had experience with the top 10 picks in Arizona. Of course, last year the Oilers had the 4th pick. Is it different when you have number 22? Are there a certain parcel of guys that you don't necessarily need to spend as much time on?
You can make mistakes by doing that, by, guys you think that won't be there, might be there, and I've seen it happen before, but, our group is well prepared. We know who we want to get to know better, and we try to, from a number to where we're picking, we try to get to know them because, a trade could happen, you could get another, pick, anything can happen, so you got to be prepared.
So preparation doesn't really change from your past experience?
Except the top 5 or whatever, that those guys won't be there, but you got to be ready for the draft. Anything can happen. You can get some picks and a trade could be made, so you got to be ready.
Keith, I know you said it's good to get to know some of these guys, but as a guy with a background in scouting, when you're in a room with an 18-year-old kid, and I know it's got to be intimidating for them talking to a big group of guys from teams, what are you looking for? How are you reading the way they're handling the situation they're in? Yeah,
it can be nervous for them. You have to understand they're a little intimidated by us, but for the most part, I think all the kids have done a great job. You're looking at how they handle themselves with tough questions, and the answers really is what we're looking for. We have our perception of the player, and when we ask them what they're like, we want to make sure they're in the same ballpark, and you just want to get to know them in depth.
I know that they coach these guys up. Do you guys try to see through the coaching now because of how they've developed over the years?
Over the years, you can see the change in the coaching from their agents and advisors. So you go through it, and you can tell the ones that have been well coached and the ones that are very sincere about their assessment of their game.
Keith, the NFL Combine's different because, as a rule of thumb, most of the players have kind of finished all at the same time. The NHL Combine's completely, and there's a real heavy emphasis on measurables in the case of football. But with hockey, how much that's going to take place on Saturday in terms of the physical testing, how much of that matters, or is there more about what the guys have done on the ice?
I think that it's all pieces of a puzzle, and you want to know what how hard they work. That's the biggest thing, and if a kid doesn't give his all, like we have our trainers here watching them, and we can determine who's given the effort the whole time, and you want to see them do their best and have high scores, and of course we'll go through it and see the red flags and discuss it.
Going into the draft, Keith, there's the thought that there's 2 ways of looking at it. One, after the top 5, it's what some people are saying weaker than previous years. But the other way of looking at it is there's more depth in this year's draft, where maybe you can get a guy at 80 who might be as good as a guy who beat at 40 or 45. When you look at it, what do you see in terms of this year's crop?
I see depth. You're bang on, and Jack, where you sit there and you like certain players, of course, and the one thing about Bob's scouting stuff is that all these guys have gone to rinks all winter long. they have certain players that they like, and when they come to the meetings and fight for their players like they did, we know who they like, and I think we're going to get some good players. Do
you light up a little bit when you see a guy that's projected to go way lower where you might have kind of liked him all the way through?
Yeah, that you can't show your hand, and
right.
That's the hockey world, and like I said to Bob, you want the best player and that you think is going to fit with your hockey club, and we have certain things that we have size, and we can add something. We need some skill, and we'll take the best player.
Keith, we do have an expansion franchise coming in with Las Vegas. They have a shortage of. They're going to end up with a shortage of 20 and 21-year-old prospects. We're also told that they're looking to accumulate some extra picks. The Oilers have an extra third and an extra fifth. Not that you're going to necessarily reveal the cards to us, but
that's why he's wearing the sunglasses.
That's why he's wearing the sunglasses.
Nobody
but
can read his eyes.
On that note, how does having Vegas in here maybe change the complexion? I mean, you've got to do your business, but you got to be flexible too, don't you?
Exactly, but at the end of the day, we're going to determine what we're going to do, and we have extra picks, and the combines for the most part is all about these guys for the draft, and you see them the way they work out and their interviews. Some kids have 30 interviews, and it's tiresome for them, and there's a lot going on, and it's going to be exciting next 3 weeks.
Keith, always appreciate your insight. Thank you for doing this. I know it's been a busy week.
Anytime.
All right, Keith Gretzky, Assistant General Manager of the Edmonton Oilers. Bob, Jack, and myself, as well as Chris Westcott, have got more coverage coming at you from here in Buffalo.